welcome everybody to another exciting night of Tech Thursday. I'm Washington by Torrance. I am your host, Kim Saunders, and it's so good to have you guys here tonight on Tech Thursday. Yes, we know it's Mondays, but if you haven't got the memos yet, Tech Thursday now is on Mondays at 8 p.m. Live here on Tech Thursday on Facebook and YouTube. Tonight, we have a very exciting topic. We're just building on what we discussed last week, and that's how to live in a virtual environment. Since the pandemic occurred in 2020, we were forced to live in a virtual world, and so we now want to start fit now to help you guys live, or the proper way of living in a virtual world. So I'm not alone tonight. I have a special, I don't even call it a guest no more, but yeah, we have the producer.
Very special guest, the producer, Catherine. Listen here, I keep saying y'all, Mr. Tech has been trying to steal my thunder, okay? Trying to steal the thunder. But nonetheless, I want to welcome, I know we already would have, soften it up. But I want to give you all of the love. I want to welcome all of our viewers to a very exciting show. I couldn't wait for this specific show because we want to give you the tips on how to make your virtual meeting a blast. Okay, we know meetings can be boring in the real world. So imagine you're behind a computer or your laptop,
What? A computer? Oh.
I tell you, he's trying to steal the thunder. What's all for himself? So, that is, I shouldn't say boring, but it is something most people aren't used to. So we want to show you this show, and for the next few shows, what we're going to do is show you how to make your meetings a blast for people hosting meetings. Some people call it conferences, whatever you want to call it. It's virtual. We will give you some tips on how to make yours top of the line that people are willing to go back and talk about it and be like, boy, I was in this hour-and-a-half meeting and it was so informative. The moderator was so nice. The information given, you need that. You need that product. Or, hey, why don't you call this place? Just because you would have set up your virtual meeting properly. And there are some tips, and we're going to give them out tonight. We hope you listen and you use our tips. Now, tonight is just an intro to these points. We're going to go deeper into every point, and we can't wait for you guys to ask us questions tonight.
So, if this is your first time here with us tonight, let us know in the comment section where you're from. Let us know whether or not you have some tips ahead of our tips on how to make a virtual meeting a blast. There we go. Everybody in 2020, everything was like, oh, I'm so zoomed out, or I'm so Teams out, or you're just so tired of the virtual, normal, mundane, boring meetings that happen so frequently in 2020.
And so much.
You're right. And so 2021, hopefully those things have eased up a bit. And persons now, when you hear a virtual meeting or you hear a virtual event, there are some new exciting things to look forward to.
Yeah, you'd be excited to go to this meeting. Like, they gonna have some good stuff.
Right.
Like when y'all hear Tech Thursday coming on, y'all be excited. Boop, boop.
All right. So we'll be right back after this short intro. All right, and we're back.
That's a point we could be talking about in a few seconds.
What point?
Don't worry about it. So you guys are ready? Are you ready? You have any questions? Good night, Miss Hamilton. I know you're going to have to. Oh, well, good night. I know you're going to have some. I know you can put some meetings together. So listen to these tips to make your virtual meetings, a blast. All right. So am I going to start or you're going to start?
You're gonna start.
Anyway, so you guys, like we've been saying, 2021, there are going to still be virtual meetings because of different protocols, restrictions. You can't travel. And hopefully, if you're hosting a meeting, here are some tips. We have about 8 tips, 7 or 8 tips.
7.
7, yeah. What we want you to use. And if you have any questions, ask us tonight.
Or if you feel like you have some additional tips, let us know in the comment section so we could share with the community.
Yeah, because we have some experts actually watching the show.
Yeah.
So, tips. Tip number 1. One of the most important things if you're putting on a show is to have a good camera. Listen, guys, you need a good. I know. We see this camera, we're like,
Hold on. Yeah, back up.
back it up.
Back it
Back
up.
it up.
Yeah, because Miss Madam Producer, this is a very expensive camera. So that are we trying to tell persons to go ahead and buy expensive camera?
What we do is we tell people to invest in good technology. So if you can afford a great camera, why not?
Okay.
We're not going to tell you not invest in good technology, which is going to last you longer than you buying a cheap $50 one.
But a $50 one may be sufficient.
Just to text you, this ain't a fantasy world.
No, seriously.
Good technology could cost you a little bit more money. Like it'll cost you a little coin, but it can last.
No,
Agree?
okay, no, I don't agree. So, all right, so let's.
Say, Jamie is saying, which camera do you recommend? Which pixels should it have? Good question.
And now we get into the technical things that I want you to answer now, right? All right. So you can answer it, or you want me to answer it?
You can answer that, but
Thanks.
then
All
I'll
right.
explain.
Thanks. Right. So to answer Jamie's question, right? What pixels one should have? A basic webcam, believe it or not, is sufficient as long as it has a minimum of 720p or 1080p. So if you have an external webcam, or if your laptop or your phone or your tablet or whatever device that you're using, if the specs is a minimum of 720p or 1080, or it can scale up to 1080, then by all means use that camera. If you want to get into the producing, it's not in producing, but the production side of things, where you want to put on virtual events at a high scale, then you're looking at now a higher resolution, depending on the look and feel that you want to go for.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
a $50 1080p camera or 720 is more than sufficient, depending on what you're trying to accomplish.
where you buying it from?
Buy it from Amazon.
The marketplace. They tell you don't buy things from. But anyway,
Who say don't buy things from Amazon?
not Amazon, but anyway.
Oh, okay.
So a camera, having a good camera
Yes.
is important.
Yeah.
Now, we're not telling you to go out and buy a standalone camera.
Right.
Some phones have excellent cameras.
Yes.
Some tablets have wonderful cameras.
Yes.
And Mr. Tech would have told you the things to look for. But what we're trying to say is make sure you have a good camera when you're putting on a show. It's going to help your whole meeting. If you look blurry and like fuzzy, people don't want to look at you.
Yeah.
They be like, oh my God,
Yeah.
really. So cameras, good cameras are very important when putting on a virtual meeting. And secondly to that, camera angling. Listen, I don't care how good your pixels are. Listen, if you have the wrong camera angle.
Oh, this is the pet peeve of Miss
Listen, y'all be watching these people giving these meetings and you see all in their teeth. Now, y'all know I ain't got the best, but I love my teeth though. You see all up in their teeth. You see all up in their nose. Like, no, bro, don't angle it.
So you're looking at the camera
At the third neck.
Yeah.
No. Right in. So good camera angles was number one. If you have a good camera, it's catching all the angles. So angle it properly.
Now, what do you consider properly?
That you don't see any internal organs.
All right. So the camera isn't looking up in your mouth. The
No.
camera isn't looking up in your nose.
Ears or your mouth or your
Right.
nose.
So it's almost
Eye
looking
to
like
eye.
it's almost looking like a natural look.
Yes, a natural look, like how I would be looking at you
Right.
face to face in a meeting. So
Okay.
make sure angle your camera properly. And the easy way to do that is getting a nice tripod or gimbal or something.
Now I don't have all this money for no tripod and all that, but you're talking about now. What if I use some books?
I mean, the books could work if they don't shake. You know, this might be like a church meeting and hallelujah and the thing shake.
Right.
Then they really can see all up in. So you want something that's going to be sturdy.
Thank you. That's right. Mm-hmm.
Oh God, you're stealing my thunder as usual. So Jamie has a comment. Say which camera angles should I use and in which instance? Okay, perfect. Because we were actually discussing this when we were having the show. So let's say you're doing a webcam, but you're using makeup. You'd want something that really is going to.
Hold on, but Brian.
Okay, never mind. No.
Go ahead.
I've been talking. Let him go. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Makeup. Go ahead.
You obviously want to catch what you're doing. You don't want your angle to be where you're looking down at your eyebrows when you want people to see your arch from underneath. So it all depends on what your meeting is all about, what you're trying to discuss. You know what I'm trying to say? If you're trying to be all holy, you ain't trying to angle at the boobies, right? You want you to angle at the boobies. You just want to catch them here.
Keep this a G-rated show, please.
So, yeah, it all depends if you want a soft look, strong look, depending on the meeting. She has something to say.
No. All right. So, yeah. So, to add on to that is, you want to make sure. So, if you're doing the makeup, you want to make sure now you have a proper angle in terms of where you're applying the makeup. I guess the different shades, the different textures, brushes, whatever goes along with makeup, right? You want to make sure that on whatever is being applied to, you make sure that the camera is showing a first-hand view of what you're doing and not a second-hand view, even though that the camera is doing a second-hand view. You want to make sure that your audience is seeing a first-hand view of what's happening. If that makes sense. And so the camera angle, for the most part, you will always want to give it in the first person. You know, it's almost like you're writing first person, second person, third person in terms of when you're writing. When you either behind a camera or in the front of the camera, you always want to give it a first person's view.
You remember the term, first person's view.
Yeah.
It's going to come back to haunt you, trust me. All right, so the next point, listen.
Backdrop.
When you're having a virtual meeting, people, your backdrop is very important.
Why?
Because you don't want a backdrop that's going to be too glaring. Like
too what?
Glaring, like.
What?
Like, look at me.
Break that word down, please.
Oh, too clashy. It's too.
Too what?
Too bright. It's too. Look at me, and you're taking away from the speaker at that moment because it's like so bright. I mean, again, it depends on the event, but your backdrop should complement the event rather than take away from the event.
Okay.
You know? And another thing with backdrops, you don't want to, a lot of people do this, and I don't know why they do this, but again, it depends on the meeting, I guess. Ain't nobody want to see dead Grammy Susie in the background picture.
Why? I love Grammy Susie.
Dead one?
It don't matter. You don't know if she's dead.
That is true.
Is she in the picture?
Listen, unless it's like you're trying to evoke some type of personal feeling and you're trying to sell some insurance or something.
Oh, that's a good question. Go ahead.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
So unless you're trying to evoke some type of personal feel. Oh yeah, that's good. Unless you're trying to evoke some personal feeling in your meeting, and I'm sure you don't want nobody be like, oh, how little Susie was today with the little head cold. No, the meeting is about something different. No, don't have those personal pictures in the background or when you was 40 pounds lighter, like that in the back. No, we don't need all of that stuff.
Why?
It takes away from the meeting.
No,
People become distracted.
It's a conversational piece, though.
Not really, unless you're trying to. Okay, for example, if you guys never noticed, so Mr. Sanders is trying to evoke something in this background, our logo and our name. So even though it's subliminal, you might not notice it, but we do it for a reason. We still have a whole company to run. So subliminally, you see it in the backdrop there. It's blended in. It's blended in our shirts. It's blended. It's subliminal. So if you're trying to subliminally sell something, then that's different. So you're trying to sell your old Grammy? No.
Yeah, Grammy bakes
some
nice bread. Yeah, she bakes some nice bread. But Jamie asks, yes, how do I incorporate a green screen into my Zoom meetings? So
she loves these questions.
Yeah, because if we go back to our first tip, which was a good camera, right? What Zoom allows you to do, if you have a good camera, hold on. Come in.
All the secrets.
Boy, hey, fam. What you said? Glad to have you here tonight.
Yeah, and Kristen, definitely need these points with online schooling, eh?
Yeah. So with Zoom on green screen, if you have a very high grade or high-end camera, it could be a high-end webcam that has the 720, 1080, and the computer is sort of all right. Zoom actually allows you to do a virtual background, whereby it sort of uses AI technology and display your background and allow you to incorporate without a green screen, without anything else, to go ahead now and place a background of your choosing. But you have to have a good camera and you have to have a good computer in order for Zoom to process that for you. As relates now to a green screen, you now have to have a good camera, have a good computer. You have to have a sort of editing software to blur out the background, and then add a background to your Zoom meeting.
But you really don't need it.
But there's additional things that you need, and I'll mention that as we continue the points. What else you need as relates to that green screen?
Now, backdrop ain't finished now.
Sorry?
So one of the points with a backdrop, if you're doing virtual meetings, a good trick to do, again, like we've been saying, a lot of people are very bored with these virtual meetings, sitting in front of a computer or in front of your, you need it. So a good tip is to have a nice soft plant. You're evoking nature, the environment, something real. People love that.
Grammy real though. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. You know this Grammy. Grammy, if you're watching, he miss you, Grammy. He does. So your backdrop is very, very important. Choose it wisely when putting on a meeting.
So what not to have in the background? Let's do that.
What not to have in the background?
Yeah.
Explicit words.
Okay.
No curse words.
Okay.
None of that.
Okay.
Stuff.
What else? Make sure it's clean.
Yeah. Well, what not to, what to have.
What not to.
Yeah. So nothing derogatory in your background.
Mm-hmm.
No neo-Nazi foolishness. No political craziness, unless you're a political party. But nothing offensive.
Okay.
Nothing offensive, one, to your audience, and nothing offensive to the eye. Okay? So those things, anything offensive, you don't want to have in your backdrop.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have another question?
I'll read it. I want to host a personal show. What's the best broadcasting program that I can use to look professional and operate myself? I mean, there's many though. So
the question is what is your audience? Right? Whether it's going to be a private event, whether it's going to be a open event.
I need to operate myself.
Right. That's what I'm getting at now.
Okay.
Where or not, so you operate yourself like how we're operating Tech Thursday ourselves, whether or not you're going to do it privately in terms of you're not going to use social media, You're gonna do like a Zoom invite, and make sure if you use a Zoom invite, have it done.
Gospel show.
Gospel show. Gospel show is pretty tricky because you have multiple camera angles. Oh, hold on. Let's bring it up so persons could see. Right. So what a gospel show is, you have music. You have to make sure that I guess the music being played is not copywritten. If you're going to do it on Facebook and YouTube, I think if it's done live, I think you could get away with it, but then you might get a strike later for some copyright infringement. But you cannot need a multi-camera angle, multi-camera, so you need to be able to not operate that. Obviously, you need to bring different audio inside of the inside of your show.
This last show though.
Well,
a whole list of like broadcasting.
No, yeah, but
okay,
no, but yeah, but yeah, I'm actually going to answer the question though.
Okay.
And so, once you have all your musicians and everybody mic up, then you need to be able now to bring that clean feed into your broadcast and then distribute it. There's a couple softwares out there. You have OBS, you have Wirecast, you have vMix, you have StreamYard, you have.
It's a lot.
Yeah, you have a lot. It's just what makes you comfortable in terms of operating. So it all depends on you.
So if I put own the rights, would they stop me from being blocked?
To an extent, yes. To an extent, yes.
Yeah, I'll put on it.
There's buy music on Apple Music. I'm placing it behind a video void. It all depends. I mean, because if you buy a music, you buy it personally, but now if you airing it for the public, then you now change the terms of why you originally bought that particular music. Yeah.
So they usually, that's infringement.
Yeah, so technically it's infringement. Technically.
Yeah. Beat them cowbells, record that, play it.
Yeah.
All right, so that was our fourth. That's the fourth one? Or third? Okay, so our next tip on having a very good meeting or putting on a good virtual meeting is lighting.
Yes.
People, lighting, lighting is so important. It could show every imperfection, every bump, pimple, everything, or it could make you look like a rock star. So lighting is very important. So in this clip, well, next to us, we see a guy with no lighting, and him with lighting.
No, he has lighting, but the lighting is placed in the wrong position.
Oh, well, that's the next part he's going to.
Oh.
Anyway, since he would take this over, take it over.
Right. And so, Jamie, just to answer your question, as relates to the green screen. Jamie, sorry. As relates to the green screen, lighting is key if you're going to use the green screen. Because you could have spokes, you could have shadows, etc., etc. So you have to light, if you're going to use the green screen, you have to light the green screen, and then you have to light what we call the talent, which is yourself or whoever's you have cast in front of the green screen. Now, as relates to this photo that's on the screen, if you look to the far right, where you can see half of the light shining on the guy's face, and
we'll call him Jerry for now.
Jerry?
Yeah.
All right, so Jerry, half of the light is face on shining on Jerry's face, and then half is dark. That's an indication that the lighting is positioned wrong because it's not lining up his entire face, right? You can barely see him. Everything looks dry. It looks scary. I don't even want to be here. The second no is having a backlight or the window in the back of you, and you're sitting directly in front of the window with the blinds open. Obviously, person seeing on the outside, but they can't see you, and so that's a no. And so what you have to do is you have to add some separation between the light that's shining into the room and you. What else he could have done was to use the same light that's shining on the side of his face and put it more in the front of him to give him some better light. And you actually see the yes photo. He does just that.
Jerry?
Yeah, Jerry. So he's further away from the window. He has, you see a whole lot more of what's happening in the background, and the light is directly on him, but it's not what we call hot. It's just nice neutral light to light up his face, and you could actually have a better appreciation of who's on camera.
So lighting is a very important step.
Yeah.
To consider.
Yes.
When putting on a live meeting. See, virtual world. If imagine seeing Jerry in that, imagine going to a meeting and looking at Jerry in the backdrop. You'll be like, Jerry, what's going on? You go fall asleep. You'll be like, sleep. You go to sleep.
Yeah.
Good lighting makes everything look bright and you're up and you're alert.
Yeah.
So lighting is important.
Yep. Audio.
Listen, I know you always start. Listen, this is a tech show. Everybody, this is a tech show.
Yes.
Some people are watching this and know we always get the feedback. Y'all stop the cameras. Audio is the most important thing. Audio is deadly important.
Yeah.
When putting on any virtual meeting. People, yes, they come, but they come to hear what you have to say. If they can't hear you, they ain't staying. Number two, if you sound bad to their ear and you're hurting their ear, they're leaving. So good audio is important.
Yep. So let's say that you're using a laptop or you're using a cell phone, what have you. Like the picture is depicting a good external mic.
Mm-hmm.
External mic could be like a pair of headphones.
Plug in?
Yeah, that you could plug in
and
to be
speak
able
into it.
and speak directly into it. That way you sort of
they can hear you more clearly.
right, but then it also knocks away some of that echo sound that may be inside the room.
Okay, and with audio too, guys, what you don't want to do, remember, audio means sound. So now you want to be careful of all of the sound that you're picking up from the background as well. So if little boo-boo there, they can hear that. Little boo-boo don't need to be there when you're having a meeting because it's going to distract. Keep your windows closed if you have to. You don't hear the dog barking or the neighbors arguing. Audio is important. And all of these tips we're giving, we're going to go in the next weeks. We're going to be bringing on experts to dive deeper into each point we're giving. So you guys, whichever one is your favorite or you want to learn more about, stay tuned. But audio is important, where you're bringing it in from, bringing other people's audio, because you want to hear what they have to say too.
Right.
Because like on Tech Thursday, we have call-in lines. So we want to hear, and everybody want to hear what that person has to say to you. So audio is very important. Okay, so Jamie has a question. Is there any microphone designed to eliminate background noises?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Yeah. So there are some microphones that's designed to just to be up close and personal, to catch the vocals. Then you have a microphone that's very sensitive that catch exactly what's happening inside of the room. So it all depends. So you have dynamic condenser, and then you have like lav mics. So if I raise this up a bit, a lav mic, this is directly pointing towards our face or our mouth, and so it should only pick up what's that's coming out of our mouth and not really what's happening in the background. So it all depends on yes or no, but a microphone is to capture audio. To fine tune it now and to say eliminate background noises, now you have to now do some processing to eliminate now those background noises while using the particular microphone.
And like I said, we're going in more detail. And another thing, listen, We're getting them experts in. So we're going to break down every tip we're giving. Every tip we're giving, we're going to break it down so you guys could get even more deeper information. So y'all can see we were sort of like not giving out too much, because when the experts come, they're going to give all of those detailed questions
And
about.
then some.
Yes. But another thing with audio too, which you want to be careful with, is there are things you could buffer some sounds. Because you ever did like a little video and then you hear that echoing? You know, you want to put down little things to sort of catch.
Yeah, Mike.
so late with your hair, always on time, eh?
Always on time. Whenever you arrive, that's when we
How
start.
does someone say like Mike? I want to be like Mike.
Oh Lord.
I wouldn't sing it. I don't hurt nobody else. Audio, eh? Y'all audio. If you can, and let me. And the ones who can't sing like the sing. Anyway, that's another thing, but another thing for another day. But I mean, yeah, audio is very important. People come to meeting to hear. Make sure your audio is on point.
Yeah.
And yeah, come a couple minutes early to test it. Graphics! This is another tip. Listen, y'all, we've been talking to y'all for a minute. If we did have graphics, as fabulous as we both are, y'all be bored of y'all wits without having graphics. LOL. Y'all be bored out of your wits without having graphics. If you're having a meeting, have graphics. It may take an extra hour or extra thought processing in your mind, but to put on, say, yeah, this is totally. listen, we had to do it. Like, we want to give you all the information. We say, hold it back. But listen, we could take 2 days just on audio, 2 shows just on audio on camera.
Yep.
Those 2 alone, 2 whole shows. So when the expert come on, so we're going to hear from somebody else in the industry. So that's what we're doing. But graphics is very important. You know, let's say you're having a meeting about
economics.
Economics? Okay, economics. Right? And you're telling somebody, oh, in 2019, the GDP was up, and people like to see graphics. And another important thing with graphics is you may not remember exactly where, hey, Mr. Tech spoke about cameras. But when you slide through, when you're going back to see it, you'll be like, oh, it was right here, just the graphics on cameras, so it should be around here. They were talking about it. So graphic helps people to come back to your show, come back to what you were talking about. You know, it becomes more informative. And there's a lot of stuff with graphics. When you put up graphics, if you've been in school learning about MLA and APA, y'all got to do the same thing when I put up graphics, but we'll go there. Never mind. You have to cite where you get your stuff from.
Just was making sure.
You have to cite where you get your stuff from, people. But I mean, graphics is important.
Yeah. I think that was it.
Yep. So listen, we want you guys to use those tips. You know, subliminal graphics. We want you guys to use our tips. We are bringing in the experts, and all those tips we would have mentioned, we're going to dive deeper into each one, because each one is important. You know, we skimmed over lighting. Lighting is a whole
beast
on its own, the positioning, the coloring of the lights. So, you know, this is just surface, but we hope that you would be interactive. You know, you want to learn, you want to make sure when you're putting on your shows, or be a consultant, you know, one day to help them with that information as well. So use our tips, have the best meeting. And you know, guys, if you put on a meeting, let us know how it went.
Yep.
If you use our tips.
Yep.
Or let us know how it went if you didn't use our tips.
We'll find out.
I'll put you on blast. Yeah. So we want to thank you guys again for...
Into sponsors?
Of course, sorry, sponsors. And then we come back with our closing remarks.
So you do the sponsors?
Oh. Well, I get lost with all the talking. So we want to thank Sanders Consultants, one of our greatest sponsors. Sanders Consultants, implementing IT solutions that fit, one of the best IT firms out there. You know, I can tell you for a fact, we make sure, implement, and put things in place that's going to help your business. It's not a, one fit one size fit all type of thing. We want to make sure that if you have a problem, we solve your problem based on your problem, not on what we did for somebody else, somebody else's business or somebody else's school or somebody else's church. We want it to work best for you. So we want to thank you, Sanders Consultants, for always supporting Tech Thursday and being a pillar in the IT world. Oh, girl, listen, Bahamas IPTV saved me during the pandemic. You guys would watch everything y'all know happening in Al Jazeera. I know it. Y'all can't travel. Watch. Listen. Go. Call 557-2778. Ashford Gerard, Mr. Johnson. Bahamas IPTV and Communication Solutions. They're going to make it work. Like, they sort of remind me of like Sanders Consultants. Mr. Johnson is going to find a package that works for you and your budget. We know things tough, but you bored out of your head. Mr. Johnson, he is going to make sure you're straight. So call Bahamas IPTV and Communication Solutions and tell them we said give them a call. Now y'all know my boo is alive, and it's alive. My boo alive and it's alive. Anyway, yeah. So alive, listen, alive, as Mr. Tech calls it, the new kid on the block. They new, but they got an old soul. You know, check them out. If you have any problems, if you want to port over, call Alive. I love Alive.
All right.
So we want to thank you guys. Yes, thank you. So we want to thank you guys for spending the time with us. Use our tips. Use our tips. Have an excellent meeting. We don't want to be in... I'm going to be honest. I actually watched a really good one the other day. I wasn't even planning on watching their live stream, their whatever virtual meeting. And I sat there, it's like, oh, it's actually good. They must have had tips before we gave it. That's what some of his friends, so he must have helped them. But it was very good. It was now, hold on. Homegirl had some books and stuff in the background that was very distracting, right? But other than that, the information was on point. It's the information that was on point. Other things was not, but it was good. I gave it an 80%. A very, very good meeting.
80?
Yeah, they got an 80.
Okay.
Listen, she had too much books in that background.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
All right. So thank you guys for joining us tonight, and we can't wait to see you on next week, Monday, with our special guest.
All right. So thank you guys. Anything else, Catherine?
No, they just better remember that special term. Y'all better rewind. Y'all gonna need that term, eh? Y'all gonna need that. They're gonna need that.
They can need that.
Wink, wink.
All right. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to Tech Thursday tonight. I am your host, Hakeem Sanders, along with Catherine, the producer. It is always a pleasure interacting with you guys, especially on this new day, Mondays at 8 o'clock. We like to
start your day, start your week off right.
Yeah, start your week off right, and make sure that we give you guys some impactful information, and for you guys now to go ahead and implement inside your communities, your environments, your virtual meetings, some of the tips that you learned tonight and throughout the rest of.
And before he ends this,
Alyssa!
so before we end it, what we want you guys to do, last week's show we gave different platforms that you could use to host your meetings. Not all are free. Listen to the different platforms that are there. Would best work with you. Say thanks for the tips. Carol Keating, get extra tips. But listen to last views. Say Tech Mondays. No, Tech Thursday. The TNT. But listen, please, guys. If you didn't catch last week's show, watch last week's show. There are different platforms. We know you're all zoomed out. There are different platforms out there. Some free that gives you even more than the Big Z does. You know, we're trying to help. We're giving them free advertisers. I call them the Big Z. You know, there are other ones. Listen to the show. Use them to work best whatever your meeting is going to be. All right. So thanks again for watching and spending the time with us.
All right. Until next week, Monday at 8 p.m. live on Facebook and YouTube. We're calling it a good night and see you guys next week.
Thursday.
Next week, Monday.
I know.
It's the month of love, February.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh. Oh, y'all want to stay close for that.
Yeah.
So see you guys next week. Thank you guys so much for staying up with us tonight. Please go ahead, like, and share this video.
I know, can let us know which tip y'all want us to start with, but which expert do y'all want here first?
Yeah.
I mean, we know which one we want to start with first. Obviously, we know which one we want, but let us know what you want to hear first.
Yeah. Let me say thank you.
You're
welcome.
Bienvenue.
So we'll see you guys next week. Right here on Facebook and YouTube.
Monday.
Live at 8 p.m. Have a good week, everybody.